What up, everybody? The most recent seasons of both Book 2 Ghost and Book 3 Raising Kanan both ended in a very similar way. The lead character on the verge of being killed right before being saved at the very last second. And each time the person who saved the lead character was somewhat of a surprise. In Raising Kanan, it was Rock's arch nemesis, Unique, who came through and saved her from the Italian mafia before pounding his chest and saying Southside. And in Book 2 Ghost, it was Braden who came through for Tariq after he was betrayed by both Effie and Diana at the same time. This was after Braden said he was out the game and getting out of town. But he got the phone call from Obi and couldn't leave Reek hanging like that. So today I'm talking about Force keeping the theme for the closing seconds of the show, but only to have the shocking closing seconds that will break the internet. Ghost James St. Patrick returns to save Tommy. This is based on a recent interview Force Season 2 showrunner Gary Lennon did with TheMessenger.com. Lennon said, "A couple times throughout the season it was brought to me, do you want so-and-so to come back? Do you want so-and-so to be in this?" Lennon told The Messenger, and I was like, no. I think one of the weaknesses of the first season was that there was too many stories to follow, too many characters, and I wanted to focus on the characters that we had. And one of my many dilemmas as storyteller taking over season 2 was that I needed to constrict and contract the stories at the same time. Then Lennon went on to say, if given as season 3, I do have a story in mind where I will bring back a character from our Power OG world to intersect with Tommy Egan. He says, I think it'd be a really cool, interesting reveal. I think that character intersecting in our world would make absolute sense and would dirty things up in a really good way that would excite me to write. Now, with this said, go back to Joseph Sikora's tweet regarding Ghost being dead or alive. And also Sikora's IG live video he did when someone asked him if Ghost could come back as a hallucination. And Sikora's reply to that question was yes, or he could come back as a living person. So now we know why Ghost did not return on episode 5, because Lennon was using season 2 to get rid of some characters and also dead some storylines before bringing Ghost back into the fold. The Dahlia storyline was deaded right away at the beginning of season 2, which in my personal opinion was a good thing. Walter Flynn was deaded on the show, as well as his boy Paulie on episode 5, and Flynn was definitely a main character in season 1. Then you add the fact that one of the show's producers has already been on record and said that nobody is safe on the second half of the show. But we haven't had any significant deaths since Flynn, leading me to think at least one more main character is going to die in the season finale, if not more than that. People have said if they keep killing off all the characters on the show, there won't be a show. And if things were like this in real world, the world would be empty. But understand, this is not a show about normal civilian life. Power is a show about the drug world, so you can compare surviving the drug game like surviving a war. Not everyone is going to make it out, especially in a city like Chicago. Like Tommy said on episode 1, Chicago is a violent city, you feel me? And in Power, they don't even really show the other aspect of people being taken from the streets, not to the graveyard, but to the jail cell. In real life, feds will bring indictments down on entire organizations or what they claim as an organization and take more people than Force's entire cast off the street at once. Keep in mind that Lennon said in the interview they were asking him to bring back this certain character earlier, but he wanted to wrap up the storylines in a few characters first. With that said, also keep in mind in a recent interview, Omari said Starz has already asked him to come back, but they needed to come correct with the pay. Since that interview, Starz has canceled 4 shows: Blind Spotting, Run the World, Hills, and another show that was halfway through season 1 production when the writer's strike occurred. It was reported that Omari was asking for $1 million an episode opposed to the $100,000 an episode he was making on Power. Well, with 4 series canceled, there is more than enough in the budget to bring Omari back and even give him his own spinoff outside of Force. Because I would love to see Ghost return to save Tommy, but I would also rather have another Power book than to have him on Force. But Lennon already said this character will be in Season 3. So I think the Ghost spinoff could definitely still happen, but maybe he will be on Season 3 of Force. But in the finale, he will go off to be somewhere else, most likely going back to wherever he has been at this whole time. But if Ghost does return to save Tommy in the final seconds of the show, this would bring so much hype for Season 3. It would guarantee that it does get renewed for the 3rd season, getting me to how Ghost could save Tommy. I made a video talking about how Ghost is tracking Tommy through the GPS tracker on Tommy's refurbished Mustang. And yes, Tommy did check his car for a tracker, but keep in mind that Ghost is the one who had the car fixed and could have had the mechanic hide the tracker somewhere Tommy couldn't find it. I will put a link to this video in the description. So with that said, Ghost could show up in the closing seconds to save Tommy's life from his enemies like Neek did for Rock and Braden did for Tariq. But depending on where we are at in the timeline, I do have another theory. We are getting close to the time in the series when Sax dies. So I have a theory that Ghost could return after Sax's death and say that Sax shot him and that he faked his death because he feared for his life. This could be as New York is attempting to extradite Tommy for the murder of James St. Patrick. But like I said, I don't know if we're far enough in the timeline for this. But I have thought about the idea of a time jump in the closing seconds of Force Season 2. Ghost had a 3-month time jump at the very beginning of Season 3. I think Force Season 2 could conclude with Tommy going back to New York after a time jump and also possibly running into Ghost somewhere along the line that way. And there you have it. Will Ghost return to save Tommy in the closing seconds of Season 2? Leave your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments.